What's good, YouTube? And welcome to a brand new way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And a little bit of light at the end of my dooming tunnel. I am very excited for Yu-Gi-Oh! Genesis that has been announced, but it does not fix a lot of things wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh! It does not create a new player gateway into the game. It more so creates a returning player gateway and specifically targets a bit of member berries, because the only things forbidden in this format are pendulums and link monsters. Outside of that, the entire forbidden and limited list is open and then restricted by a point system, so you have to pick and choose what's worth it to you to play within your strategies. Now, I think that this creates an interesting thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! Products, where Konami can release a tier 1 link deck in a product. Then they can turn around and make a rogue strategy that's really solid for synchros or XYs, where you see it top once or twice at a YCS. You don't necessarily expect it to win, but you would root for it. Oh my gosh, it's great in Genesis, and there's no points on this deck yet. You see where this is going? Konami's creating two reasons to go after the product, and they're supporting it so much that it is getting a full-blown YCS. Speed Duels without this kind of support had buyouts for its formats. It had its Tournament Pack 1, initially ridiculous prices before it fell off and then got canned, most likely also in part for this. I think, though, with this kind of support, Konami is trying to find a way to clear and revitalize product, because this is Justice Hunters. This is our star set of the year competitively, and it's under $60 a box. It's failing too. The demand for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is at an all-time low. They really, even in addition to this format, need to figure out their chase model and rework it and create something else into that, as well as do better pull ratios for the players and make product worth diving in for an average person to say, you know what, I think I will gamble on that box. That's gone away. Tier 0 sold on the last set, last I talked to them, 2 entire cases internationally. South America, Central America, North America, Japan, everywhere that used to order, it's dried up on sealed. 2 cases is pathetic for their reach. They used to do 200 to 300 sometimes of sealed, and their lowest sets were 22. That is the lowest demand I have ever seen for Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's not through my code. That's through everybody. It's rough. It is not good for Yu-Gi-Oh! Product and for stores right now. This creates dual reasons to dive into product and a different market that might be able to bolster cards up, as long as they continue to appropriately balance and work on this point system, as well as officially support it. Now, their invitationals also have pretty sick pricing, but I'm going to criticize it because we've dug into the vault. Special prizes to hand out like Darkened Dragon and Giant cards. I'm one of the biggest Giant card fans, and I really love that they just did that for YCSs. However, Darkened Dragon was the prizes they were giving out at UDSs. This is nothing new. They tanked Darkened Dragon from like $1,000 to $300 back then, and then they spiked back during the Crush card phase, and now it's a huge Edison card, and, you know, they just time traveled, so Edison card. Then you also have the Giant Pot of Greed. That was already done for like a Forbidden tournament in the EU. I have the holographic one from South America. I'm pretty sure there are multiple English Pot of Greeds also from a prize wall, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like this giant card is new, but it should still have decent demand. And then I think like second, third, fourth also get an oversized card. This is pretty darn good for having all these side events out and then having something culminate at the end of a weekend through these different events. For a side event, this is the most they've ever done. Thumbs up. It's still not the most mind-blowing to me, and I look forward to seeing what they actually do for the YCS special, different from a regular YCS. Here's more my drawn-out thoughts, though, on the situation, and the last of my dooming with it, because I do think this is a turning point where Konami can actually figure out how to fix everything with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! Product if they rework it in the next year. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Saved. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Will be able to move forward if they actually go in the product, and they are taking feedback. They're communicating on ban lists, they're updating YCS pricing to the best it's ever been, and now this, and officially supported out the gate, you know they had to take feedback in order to reach those decisions. I said over here on Twitter, Genesis format is growing on me, but this is why Konami is scrambling. Competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Set of the year, and it's on a downward spiral while insanely relevant. This will have returning players and thus more demand for cards, but does not fix the problems of modern product. Despite what many are saying, Konami is taking that feedback I just talked about. But we need to find more stable chases and product for it to be worth diving in. This format will not solve stores' product demand problem, the place we all play, outside of getting it out the door more as pricing, which in a way is sales at least, but that then puts it on the local players that are opening it and finding out, oh, this is kind of disgusting to open. We need better product, better regionals and local pricing, and honestly, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is hitting its stride to be in its real golden age of a game with how the current format are and having a solid alternative way to play, especially EU with Time Wizard access. So if they fix product, we can actually see a new golden age of Yu-Gi-Oh! With the multiple ways to play. I really do think this is the place where they can find it in themselves to go back in and restructure TCG product. This alone ain't gonna do it on its own with this list, but the excitement is there to where money is really moving on the market. Maxi Quarter Century Secret Rare and some of its other versions are way up, double towards $100 freaking dollars. And guess what? The sales haven't quite reached there, but they are getting up. Pot of Greed, also its Quarter Century Secret Rare doubled after only nosediving. My poor LOB format deck, I didn't go for these yet. But seriously, $10 from 5, not bad. It reminds me of the Exodia spike. Graceful Charity was already going up, interestingly enough, and it is now towards $60 from the $45-48 it was at. Pot of Greed, like I said, I think I just covered that one, but I have other versions pulled up to show that other versions are getting targeted lower on quantities, up in price. Dimension Shifter Quarter Century Secret Rare. Well, people are willing to play that out the gate, aren't they, at 5 points? $15 already when it was just 11. Now, the other thing is, I think, I talked about this before, locals that have a strong competitive scene are going to thrive with this the most. And that's already the consolidating comic book thing that happened, where it's the comic book industry was dying and the stores that were the strongest already became even stronger and were able to pull more people in as the others closed. Locals have largely been that way. The comment sections attested that I had 3 out of 5 in my area closed, only 2 remain, and only 1 is still firing Yu-Gi-Oh! Those ones with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Base that can have players come in and ask about this and tell them that they'll run it and you'll get at least 8 players at first, they're who gonna grow that community. They're going to be the ones who are going to be able to sustain a format around this grow pricing unless Konami also sends special stuff for this out to locals. It can't only be supported at the top end, but that demand is growing from the top end. And those aren't the only cards. Eclipse Weaver, and I already saw this all over Twitter. Trishula was talking about that. Look at the spike. $30 freaking dollars, and the sales were around 15 plus. Yeah, the Eclipse Weaver and being legal, people always say that's a mistake, but I think it'll be fun. And also, Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, doesn't have too special of a version, so you might want to get that sooner than later. The OG is somewhat pricey, but you can still get the Mega Pack versions for under $1. Just something you might want to have access to right now. Sky Striker Ace Azalea for the current format, and Sky Striker seeing a little bit of success. I saw Triff retweet that, like, what the heck? $40! Wow! So Battles of Legend finally getting a pricey card outside of its high rarity cards. This should, yeah, Book of Eclipse is also coming back up for this current format and being able to take care of boards and let you play. It's around $22 to $24 for its Quarter Century Secret Rare. And I wanted to touch on Retro Pack as well here. Retro Pack is going down in price. We called that. It would be out. People would open more of it. They might even rewave it. I've seen a restock at my local area, or at least it's still on shelves after it was emptied. So either they have rewaved this or they prepared a second volley without having to print it. One of the two. And so with restocks at least happening happening in my area. I would expect it to be similar others where they either over-ordered and are able to put it back out, or people are just buying this at such a rate and opening it that cards are coming down. Like Thousand Eye Restrict, a lot of versions of this are bought out right now or going up in price. Nice hollow version of it for $3.30 as long as you got the quality control right on it. So there are good cards to hunt out of here and things I would be picking up personally if I needed them. It is interesting the direction this has gone, though, and as it comes down in price, that was somewhat expected, I would think, even with it being far more popular than Retro Pack 1. Let me know what you think of Genesis format. I think this alone doesn't save Yu-Gi-Oh! Or its product, but I do think it's a really good direction, and it's something that if pushed correctly, because Speed Duel got local supports. They got tournament pack cards. They got also official promos that were pricey. I remember a Book of Moon and a Jinzo. And the Jinzo mat was super freaking cool. If we can get stuff for locals for Genesis format that helps also push it, and it truly takes off like the money that's currently being pumped into the market is speaking to, well, we might have a situation on our hands that if product improves too, like I said, Golden Age of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not out of the question, and I am a bit hopeful. Don't give me hope. But no, seriously, I'm a bit hopeful for the first time in a long time with this, and excited to see where it goes, at least. Thanks for watching, everybody.